Welcome to another edition of Women's History Month, hashtag Choose to Challenge. I am Luana Bradford, visionary and co-founder of Celebrate You Women Embracing Wellness, and I am honored and privileged to have Wendy Watkins here with us to talk about hashtag Choose to Challenge. Wendy, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Luana. How about you, my dear?
I'm doing great. Well, we're going to jump right in. I'm going to toss the ball to you and let you tell the listening audience a little bit about you and what's going on in your world.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Always fun to share. What is new in my world? Well, as a joy strategist, these days my attention has been focused on supporting successful women business owners in keeping their mental well-being in check. Seems like all of us as women are getting pulled in many directions. And what I'm noticing overall with the women that are coming to me is that they're successful, they're reaching all their goals, but they're finding that they're not as fulfilled as they would like to be, and are actually questioning what their definition of success is now, and that it has changed over time. So I get to spend my time talking to amazing people, helping them clarify that definition of success and then create a plan to achieve it. And I pinch myself every day that I get to do something like that. So that is a little bit about me. Oh, and then on the side, I'm got a new e-bike and I'm riding my e-bike around Decatur now. I'm very excited about that.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
great. But it feels pretty good when you're able to take your years of experience and learning and now pour into others.
Yes. Yes. It definitely does. It is an honor to be able to give to other women. Just like, I think about as I was coming up in my career, right from the beginning, there were always women there for me to create the next step for me to get into the coaching profession and really create the impact I wanted to make. So it just feels like a natural to turn around and give back. It just feels like completing the cycle, really.
I love that. So we're in Women's History Month. Everyone knows that. And what does it mean to you to think about, the women whose shoulders we're standing on, but also celebrating women around us because every day we are creating history.
Yes. Yes. And the word, celebrate, and what I love, the essence of celebrate you is for women to take the time to celebrate, and that it doesn't always have to be the big things. And what I'm noticing with women these days, especially the younger women that are stepping into political arenas and other platforms to speak their truth, that they are actually, whether they realize it or not, that all of the experience that all of these women have had is coming through them as well. Because as women, we have, not all women, but some women have more of that intuitive energy, that flow. And so it's easy to connect with um, the whispers that we hear and be able to act upon it with more grace and more ease. So, um, yeah, standing on the shoulders of other great women, it is a reminder every day for me of responsibility that we have to continue the work that has been done and to be able to take the time to do what we need to do, and then also take the time to celebrate our accomplishments. Because without celebrating the accomplishments and recognizing anything that you've done, whether it's small or large, then life just becomes, a big fat to-do list with lots of checks next to it. And on moving on to the next thing without actually taking the time to acknowledge and appreciate yourself for your accomplishments.
I love that. Now, you said something. You said to be able to go through life with, your word choice was ease and grace. So we have ease and grace, but then we have the hashtag choose to challenge. So how do
Yes.
you challenge and still be in flow?
Oh, that is a big question, right? Because that is what we're all looking to be in is flow. But how do you challenge? And I guess it is on how you define what challenge is, right? I'm such a wordy, I'm like wanting to look up in the dictionary now and know exactly what the word challenge means. To me, it means to stand in that place. Let me see how I want to articulate this, Luana. Choosing to challenge is, it's like you're on one side of the street, you see something happening on the other side of the street that isn't right. You have a choice in that moment to challenge. And the choice is, I guess, is always to do the right thing. And when you're doing the right thing that's aligned with your values and your authentic expression, then it makes it easier. Then the ease and grace show up even when times get tough, even when you're looking at challenging the status quo, whether that's the status quo of our world, the status quo of your community, or just the status quo of your own life. When you have a bit more clarity on what's important to you, then it allows you to stay very grounded when people are coming at you saying, no, that's not right, or no, who are you to say that, or you're a woman, what do you know? When you can come at it from a place of values, it will take the emotion out of it, where, I'm not saying anything wrong about emotion, because emotion is a very powerful tool. But yet in this place of standing up for what is right for us, it takes the emotion out and lets the your personal power fuel you to be able to move through that challenge. And that's where ease and grace. Now, look, I didn't say easy. And, that
No, you
word
didn't
was
say easy.
right. So I just want to make that clear, because there's a difference between things being easy and participating with them with ease and grace. And when you're clear on your values and what you're saying authentically, who you are, and you're choosing to challenge stand in the place of what is right for you and how you share that with others, that always will feel ease and graceful if you are grounded, in my humble opinion and experience. Yeah.
And that's beautifully said, Wendy, because when we are able to, and it goes back to some of the tenets of Celebrate You, celebrating who we are. And first you have to know yourself. You have to know what's important. What are your values? And you can stand in that truth without wavering. There's such a peace that seems to envelop you, right? It doesn't mean life, like you said, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but somehow the waves don't capsize your boat.
Right. And if they do knock you down,
you're still able to, yeah.
If they do knock you down, you get
you're
back
like
up.
you're more like in a kayak. You just sort of go.
Exactly.
So let's talk about where, this year we're in the 101 celebration of women's right to vote. So the National Association of Women wanted to extend the centennial celebration into 2021. Women receiving the right to vote in 1920. But as you and I were talking, realizing that we tend to focus on white women and what all the activity that was going on back then. But we fail to spotlight all the other women who were supporting African American, Native American, Asian American, who didn't receive the right to vote until decades later. In fact, Native Americans, it wasn't until the 1980s where some of the anti-discrimination laws as it related to voting was written off the books. So not getting into a political banter, but when you think about our vote as an extension of our voice, our truth, it's us saying this is what we want. How does that resonate with you, and what would you like to say to women about rising up in your voice?
You know, it's hard not to experience the frustration of thinking about the different level, you know, in 1920, the right to vote for white women, and then what happened after that. I can't wrap my mind around that, Luana, the discrimination there. It makes it very challenging for me to um, to believe, honestly. But as for how we all use our voices, it begins with, once again, knowing what your voice is. It's not what your parents told you or your grandparents told you. It's not around morality. It's not shoulds. It is taking the time, and it does take time to educate yourself on what is important to you when it comes to using your right to vote. And I think that's the one thing I can say is taking the time for all of us to educate ourselves on what are the issues, which ones are important to us, to you in particular, and which may mean it's not what's important to me, what's important to you, because we all like different flavors. That's why there's 31 flavors of ice cream, right? So, but it's getting clear on and then who the people are that can support you. And that takes work. It takes time and work to actually um, get clear on those beliefs and to find the people to align with. And then for some of you, it's going to also be about supporting those people and supporting those beliefs and actually getting out there on the sidewalks, on the social media, in the mailboxes to express yourself. And it is all an individual journey for each of us. But I believe it's time to invite all of us to look at what kind of world do we want to create for our children, our nieces, our nephews? Because the change that we want to see right now, I don't know if we're going to see it, Luana. Some things, I'm not sure how long. It seems like things could take a long time sometimes. So I invite people to look at what they want their life to be like for the little people and make their decisions not only based on themselves, but the longer term impact that we want to make. Yeah.
Wendy, why do you think, because I'm in these interviews, I'm hearing a common theme and everyone's like, the time is now. Why do you think women feel that this is our time? What has shifted? And this is from a global perspective. What has shifted?
I think it's all up there. We're coming into the age of Aquarius. I mean, there is a little bit of something about what's happening with the planets, especially when we are experiencing it globally. Look, I know this could sound a little woo-woo here, and I'm all in on the woo-woo. I love it. I think that the spiritual practices, but this isn't even spiritual. If you go and pick up the Farmer's Almanac that has been in print for hundreds of years, they talk about the powers of the energy of the planets. And farmers use it in planting seeds for their crops. I mean, it's used for so many things. So we are experiencing a planetary shift now that is empowering women to stand up in a bigger way. We're all feeling it, and all of us are being called forth in different ways. But I truly do believe Aquarius is more of that flowing feminine energy type feel. And we are all hearing the whispers and waking up to that call. I think that, partnering that with the how fed up we are with the patriarchy of our world, and that it has been run by white men for too long, and that all the work that women have been doing over these years has given us the tools, the strength, and the clarity to now all come together and step into this place that the time is now.
I like that. So you have arrived at this point in your life not by magic, but there's been someone who's been whispering in your ear, guiding you along the way throughout your life. Who is that special woman?
That woman is my Grandma Ann. My Grandma Ann, I'm both all my grandparents, but if I had to pick one, my grandparents, that relationship were the most special relationships. And as I remember as a little girl, the unconditional love I received from Grandma, her love of cooking and food and bringing the family together. And I just learned so much from her. And I watched how she was a housewife. She worked it. She worked harder than I think my grandfather worked, with 3 children and managing a house and, doing all of the cooking. And when the high holidays came, Grandma was in there and she was like working it, cooking for 20 people. And that was like watching, it was like magic. Wow. The way she made it so easy. Right. And she was just always there and loving and funny. And I just always loved how she made me feel loved and made me laugh. So she definitely is always whispering in my ear to keep going. And her inspiration led me to write the Joy Factor recipe book, because it was my love of food and personal development that brought me back to remembering what Grandma told me about being such a great cook. Because when I asked her why she was such a good cook, she said to me, and I remember her saying, and she pinched my cheek, she was like, "Bubala, what I love about cooking for the family and why it's so good is because I choose the best ingredients and I see the family while I am cooking the meal." So for me, I just continue with that in the book and in my life, beginning with the end in mind of what I'm looking to create, and then making sure I'm surrounding myself with the best people, the best thinking, the best tools, the delicious ingredients. So she's there every day, every day.
I love it. Well, we are almost out of time. What lasting words would you like to leave for our listening audience?
Well, we just lost Helen Reddy not too long ago, and her song, I am woman, hear me roar, because I am too big to ignore. I invite you to take some time and get clear on what your message is, what you are most passionate about, and focus on that and decide the impact you want to make, ask for the support you want, and then roar and know that you will be heard, and what is important to you is important to other people. And don't keep yourself small. Get clear on what it is you want to share and find the people that have your similar message and roar together.
I love that. Wendy, how can people get a hold of you?
You can visit me on my website at wendywatkins.com, and then Facebook, Instagram, Wendy Watkins, Wendy B. Watkins on Instagram. I have a little YouTube channel. Just Google Wendy Watkins. You'll find me.
Fantastic. Well, Wendy, this has been a pleasure. I always love engaging with you, and thank you so much for agreeing to participate in this special Women's History Month series, #ChooseToChallenge.
Thank you, Luana.
And so, ladies, as we always say and celebrate you, love yourself, embrace yourself, and whatever you do, celebrate you. Bye.